Xbox Live launched 22 years ago, becoming a pillar for online gaming ever since. We'll explore the early days up until modern times and provide the complete history of Xbox Live. The year is 1999. Nvidia had launched the GeForce 256, Roller Coaster Tycoon was the best-selling game of the year, and Sony was dominating the home console market with the PlayStation. The PlayStation 2 was in development, and Sony wanted the console in every home with the goal of replacing the desktop computer. Now yes, that was ambitious, especially considering they served two different purposes, but the PC gaming market was huge nonetheless. Bill Gates took this as a serious threat and tasked a group of engineers to create a console to rival the upcoming PlayStation 2. Whilst Microsoft were working on this console, which didn't yet have a name, another competitor was entering the market in the Sega Dreamcast. Now Sega wanted to enter the booming online space with the Dreamcast having online support. However, the Dreamcast utilised a dial-up modem, with broadband being on the cusp of launching. The PlayStation 2 didn't even feature networking capabilities, and Microsoft saw this as an opportunity to innovate. Microsoft's console, which was now called the Xbox, had to be the best in class when it came to online functionality. Players would be able to download content including new levels, maps, characters and more. They learned from the failure of the Dreamcast that two changes would need to be made. The Xbox would have to support a broadband connection as well as a hard disk drive for storage. This meant that large files could be downloaded quickly and stored efficiently without fear of running out of space. The integration of broadband connectivity would also increase available bandwidth, which meant voice chat could be included. Now the Xbox was criticised for its lack of dial-up support due to broadband not being widely accepted in the home. It's safe to say Bill Gates knew exactly what he was doing, as dial-up was on its way out. November 15th, 2001. The Xbox released around the world and sold more than 1 million units in 3 weeks, but the online service they'd promised wasn't ready yet and didn't even yet have a name. That changed 6 months later when E3 was held in 2002. The service had finally been given a name, and that was Xbox Live. Microsoft had booths and Xbox consoles that were connected to the internet. Gamers were able to test out an early build of Unreal Championship, which was set to release in November. This would coincide with the launch of Xbox Live and be one of its flagship titles, as Xbox Live would also release on the 15th of November. Microsoft announced that Xbox Live would feature a friends list, a gamer tag, which was an online moniker, and voice chat via a headset. Remember that there had been nothing like this before in a console. There was X-Band in 1994, Sega's Netlink in 1996, as well as SegaNet in 1998, but these didn't come close to what Xbox Live was offering. Xbox Live launched in November and would cost gamers $50 for an annual membership. You could also purchase a starter kit that featured a subscription card, a headset as well as some demos. Now those kits go for over $200 nowadays, so you may have some gold sitting in your attic. The service gained over 100,000 subscribers in its first week and over 250,000 within 2 months. The growth wasn't slowing down, as Xbox Live had over 2 million users by 2005, but that wasn't the only milestone for Microsoft that year, as the Xbox 360 was right around the corner. Fast forward to November 2007 and the Xbox 360 had been on the market for 2 years. Now it wasn't far from selling 10 million units worldwide, and Microsoft wanted to celebrate the 5th anniversary of Xbox Live. Over 8 million subscribers were awarded a free copy of Carcassonne, and lifelong subs were awarded 500 Microsoft points. I just want to reiterate that 80% of users that owned an Xbox 360 were subbed to Xbox Live. That was truly a phenomenal number, and I too was one of those gamers. November 10th, 2009. I'd finished school and my aunt purchased me and my cousin a copy of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I remember this being picked up from Morrison's back when supermarkets had a designated gaming section. Dennis Durkin, a CEO at Microsoft, announced this was the busiest day ever on Xbox Live. Over 2 million players were on Xbox Live playing MW2 at the same time. Commando Pro, Noob Tubes and the Spaz 12 sniper rifle. Yes, I said it guys. We all knew it was broken, but we used it anyways, baby. But I digress. It was a great time to be a gamer, and Call of Duty was in its golden era. After 9 years of online support, Xbox Live was discontinued on the original Xbox in April 2010. This encouraged gamers to upgrade to the newer Xbox 360, but us gamers are resilient. Some weren't ready to embrace the Red Ring of Death and were perfectly happy with their Gen 1 counterpart. A group of tricksters found a loophole to continue playing even after Microsoft had announced the shutdown. If you were an existing Xbox Live subscriber, you could carry on using the service. However, new users no longer had access. These same tricksters, dubbed the Noble 14, played Halo 2 until they were kicked from the servers on May the 11th, 2010. Yes, these guys gave Microsoft the slip for nearly a month. Microsoft, however, saw the humorous side of their final stand, as well as their commitment to Halo. They were all awarded Halo Reach beta codes, as well as having their subs extended. Can we get some liquor emojis in the comments for our fallen comrades? But what could gamers expect from Xbox Live, and what were the benefits of a paid membership? The 360 introduced the Xbox Live Marketplace, which turned a console into a media hub. You could rent movies, watch TV shows, and download apps. Comedy Central, MTV, and Paramount were some to name a few. But movies and apps weren't the highlight of the marketplace, but they were nice to have. Microsoft launched the Originals program in 2007, which let gamers purchase original Xbox games on the 360. Xbox Live Arcade had been revamped and relaunched. This storefront sold games that were a maximum size of 2 GB. Banjo-Kazooie, Altered Beast, and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 were some classics that featured in the store. There were also games with gold, which allowed members to download 2 free games each month. And they weren't just throwing us indie and arcade games either. In the first year, members could download Fable free, Assassin's Creed 2, Halo free, as well as Gears of War. And that's not a bad return. If someone on the street offered you 2 free games, you may be inclined to say, well, yes. If they asked you to then get in the back of their van, it may be worth phoning the police. Your membership also included online play, game discounts, and free play days on featured titles. December 25th, 2014, a festive day enjoyed by many around the world. Families are playing Mario Kart 8, basement dwellers are playing Diablo 3, and tryhards like me were playing Dark Souls 2. It was all going well until I tried to summon my friend tried to summon. You see, some naughty, dirty little group of elves had DDoSed Xbox Live as well as PlayStation Network. This basically gave your 360 the networking functionality of a Nintendo 64. Online services were down for 3 days, and this was incredibly lame. Now, my father taught me 2 things when I was a kid: never kick another guy in the nuts, and don't mess with anyone's internet. As far as he was concerned, they were both low blows. But Microsoft had a bit of a problem. Their new Xbox One's launch was considered a failure. It was marketed as an entertainment hub as opposed to a console with media features. It was $100 more than the very popular PlayStation 4, as well as the horrendous used games policy. Microsoft wanted to put restrictions on used games, preventing them from being traded in, or they would charge users for playing used games. Now, this decision was eventually reversed, but the gaming market, well, they weren't happy. Microsoft needed some new ideas, so they hired Phil Spencer, who replaced Don Mattrick as the head of Xbox. Phil told his new team to come up with something, even if these ideas were bold. Due to the popularity of streaming services like Netflix and Spotify, they took inspiration and wanted to create their own model. The idea started off with the codename Archies, but they later changed the name to Game Pass. Spencer knew devs and publishers didn't want to lock their new releases behind a paid service. He decided Game Pass would launch with a catalogue of older titles, followed by their first-party games on release day, but gamers would still be able to purchase these games if they didn't want to sub to Game Pass, making the service slightly more appealing. Game Pass launched in 2017, but users had to purchase another subscription to use it. This would set gamers back an additional $10 a month, on top of the $60 for the gold membership. At launch, there were over 100 Xbox One and 360 games to play. Microsoft had 2 big announcements for 2019. The first was a new membership tier that combined Xbox Live Gold and Game Pass, and this was called Xbox Live Ultimate. The second was Game Pass for PC, which was supported by Windows 10 and had 100 games available at launch. Some devs claimed that Microsoft were undercharging for the service, but Spencer doubled down, stating the price was sustainable and that they had no plans to increase membership prices further. Well, I must say that was a consumer-friendly decision, and there was absolutely no way they'd change their mind and increase the prices anyway. We'll get back to this one shortly. But Phil wasn't done there yet, as the cloud gaming space had piqued his interest. Nvidia had GeForce Now, there was Google Stadia, and Sony had PlayStation Now, which I did make a video on if you are interested. Now, Microsoft's service was called Xbox Cloud Gaming, but they could have been a bit more creative. I would have called it Cloudbox or Box Cloud 360, perhaps even Phil Spencer's cloud experience presented by Xbox and paid for by Microsoft. The service would work on Android and iOS devices, smart TVs, hell, it even works on a Fire Stick. Now, I'm unsure about you guys, but there's something about playing Halo on a Fire Stick that makes me angry. You remember the part where Phil said he wouldn't increase membership prices, right? Well, in 2021 they changed their minds, but it would only go up a few bucks, right? The 6-month membership would increase by 50% from $40 to $60, and if you thought that was bad, well, get ready for this one. The 12-month membership was going to increase from $60 to $120. Yes, a 100% increase. But Xbox didn't want to just backhand their customers, so they offered them a compliment as well. following the backhand of course. Any gamers that had already subscribed to the 6 or 12-month tier would be able to resubscribe at the current price, so Xbox were pretty much deferring your payment for at least 6 months to say thank you. Well, the Xbox community as well as journalists were not happy and tore Microsoft a new one online. The backlash was so bad the prices were reverted in less than 24 hours. 2021 would also see the Xbox Live branding come to an end, being renamed as Xbox Network. Xbox Live Gold would keep its name though, but was one of the last remnants of the former branding. Phil's decision to launch Game Pass, well, it was a success, as there were more than 100 million active players, of a quarter being subbed to Game Pass. If we assume that those members paid $120 annually, that's $3 billion a year from Game Pass alone. That $3 billion accosted for 18% of Xbox's total revenue, meaning they made over $15 billion in 2021 alone. There was still more to come, as Microsoft purchased ZeniMax Media for $7.5 billion. Bethesda and id Software are subsidiaries of ZeniMax, which meant that Xbox now had control over the Elder Scrolls series, Fallout as well as Doom. The Xbox portfolio would grow stronger a year later when Microsoft purchased Activision Blizzard. Call of Duty, Diablo, Warcraft and a bunch of other franchises were added to the roster. The last big decision that Phil made was porting some exclusives to the PS5 and Switch. So far, Forza Horizon 5, Sea of Thieves and Indiana Jones has made it to the PlayStation. Starfield, Halo the Master Chief Collection and Gears of War are also rumoured to be coming, and this is honestly a smart decision as I believe those games will sell well, which will encourage Xbox to port even more exclusives. Take me for example, I already own all of these games, but I would buy them again if a physical copy released on the PlayStation 5, but I have a feeling they'll be digital only. Well, there you have it guys, and I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I did writing it. Apologies to those that were expecting Doom the Dark Ages, I couldn't get it to perform well on my Series S. My next video will be a review of Onimusha 2 Remastered, so if that's something you'd like to see, then consider subscribing. But until the next time guys, I'll catch you all on the next video.
My online ID is Dark Master.